Welcome back to Rated Radio with your hosts Rayburn Alexander and Shane Wyndham. Rayburn, hate to ask this, but what's going on in your world?
I somehow managed to coerce you into doing video. So for those of you listening, we will have snippets.
Coercion means I didn't really have an option. It was either show up and do the podcast or no podcast. So
thanks, Shane.
Is it immediately evident here why video is not a great option for us? There are mic covers in our face.
Yeah, but look at this scene I have set.
You just want to show off your room.
Thanks.
Anyway.
And our logo. That's what's going on with me. What's going on with you?
Working on my garage, being antisocial.
Love
That's all I got. Roll the intro. Are you going to dance the whole episode just because there's a camera in your face?
Let's just say I'm happy to be here with you. That's what makes me dance.
Speaking of you being here, someone is not here today that was supposed to be.
Yes.
And I think it's kind of bullshit that he's playing hooky after so much anticipation.
I know.
So I may correct that later in the show.
Okay.
More on that to follow. Stay tuned. How does...
More on that later.
I'll talk more about that later.
Give him the tease, Shane. Tease him a little bit.
Assuming you haven't already turned the show off, Eric was supposed to be on this week. He's got the flu, I think is what it is.
Yes.
Am I wrong? Yes.
It's not COVID.
Yes, the flu. Although he's trying to convince people it's COVID by sending them pictures of him in the hospital with a mask and looks like he's been crying.
Yes. And for those...
He may just be doped. I don't know.
He's really sick.
I'm sure he's
coughing
not feeling
his
well.
Brains out and other things out of his body that he would not like for me to mention.
Okay.
But he's home now and probably heavily doped up on antibiotics and cold flu meds. So hope you recover, Dad, obviously. Sending you all wishes, but wish you were here.
And since he would have been a repeat offender on our show, we let him pick the song list for the week. And our song list is songs that make you want to fight.
Yeah. Dude likes to fight, I guess. He did a lot of it when he was younger. So why the fuck not?
Start us out.
All right. First on my list is X Gon' Give It To You by DMX. I've always stated that DMX makes me want to have a little bit of a rumble. So this track, at least for me, is easy picking.
My first pick was Big Bad Wolf by In This Moment. There's a monster inside each of us, and knowing how to keep your own calm falls to that person you see every time you look in a mirror. Just a little reminder.
Okay. Next on my list is BYOB by System of a Down. This is fast-paced anarchy to anyone that may get in my way while hearing this track.
Next for me is Full Nelson by Limp Bizkit. If you can't manage silence when you don't have anything nice to say about other people, someone's eventually going to beat the shit out of you.
Well, thanks. Now that I know when ass kicking is coming.
I was anticipating Eric's banter, so I didn't write stories. I didn't want to keep it long-winded, you know?
Thanks, Dad, for not providing that banter.
No, I mean, I wanted to give him the opportunity to speak, so you're getting less from me this week, but there's still music here.
Yeah, there's always music.
I'm giving you Rayburn level input.
Ooh, low blow.
Next song, please.
Next song, Get Back by Ludacris. This selection is a bit more fun, but still gets its message across loud and clear. Get back, motherfucker.
Okay.
What's next on your list?
Go Hard by Da Mafia 6 and Yellow Wolf. Much of the world is waiting on you to snap just because it entertains them. So do better than distracting from the sickly dull lives of others and keep your crazy under those headphones. Yeah. Like me.
Like Shane. Next on my list is Army of Me by Bjork. This track makes me feel like I am preparing for an epic battle against anything I face, whether it be a robot samurai or the local barista.
You're why I think a good example of why some people have trouble with songs being in movies. Because I don't think you can divorce the context of the film from the song itself, even when you've heard it for years.
It fits perfectly.
It did fit in that film.
It does so much for that song. The song is great by itself. And by the way, the movie that we're talking about is Sucker Punch. Highly underrated, did not get the justice it deserved at the box office. But that scene, chef's kiss, perfection.
Can I ask you something?
Of course.
Born of a Broken Man by Rage Against the Machine is next on my list. My dad liked to fight. That's mostly why I avoid it. but people who incense me worse than a father abandoning his children are apt to get proof of my heritage.
That's you asking me something?
I wasn't actually asking you anything. I was shutting you up.
Thanks. Awesome. Cool. Great. Happy to be here. Next on my list is Halftime by Yin Yang Twins featuring Homeboy. I used to think this track was perfect for any sporting event to help get the players and the crowd ready to do battle. And 15 years later, this one still holds up.
How did you just settle on Homeboy? You have to make it interesting, like Guy is Guy Clark, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to go with something else, something interesting on top of it, like Homeboy Roy. You have to make it memorable.
Yeah. No, just Homeboy.
I'm pretty sure if I typed Homeboy into Spotify, I'd get like 1,000 results.
You got to do the spelling right. Homeboi.
That's even worse. You have to know how to spell it. Who knows how to spell it? Just never mind. I will stop hating. I'm a hater.
Quit hating on Homeboy.
I fucking hate you by Godsmack. I don't enjoy listening to this song regularly, but there are times when no other song hits the same way, and I'd love a world that didn't inspire this song's creation, but that ain't the world in which we live.
Well, that's going to do it for the first half of our list.
Let's talk about Eric's artist pick, which was
Van Halen.
Go ahead and drive the train.
All right.
Don't touch it.
Chugga chugga choo choo, motherfuckers. First album that we covered by Van Halen was Van Halen.
Was that for real?
Yes. Don't harsh my mellow, dude. Van Halen from 1978. This was my top album.
This was my bottom album.
Not surprised. I gave it 6 5s out of 11 tracks.
7.
My top track was Atomic Punk.
Ain't Talking About Love.
Good one. And my bottom track is On Fire.
Eruption.
What? Okay, I know it's a guitar solo.
Come for me, Van Halen. People, come for me.
What? It flows so well.
It flows so well because what it is, it's a
continuation
mishmash of guitar warm-up licks, like arpeggios.
Okay. All right. You're entitled to
I
your
don't know.
opinion.
It just sounded like someone warming up. The fact that he can play really well and that the guitar sounds good doesn't make it a great song. I actually gave it a 3. And that's pretty low for me.
I might be biased because I've seen this done live. It was amazing. Amazing live. Yeah. Anyway, thanks, Shane. Moving on to what I have to say about the album. There's so many standouts, guitar, drums, vocals, almost as if they're giving it their all. Definitely 80s rock. Roth's screech can be a bit annoying at times, and I've said the exact same thing for Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you need to do it all the time. More raw, unpolished sound, but works in their favor for me here.
So this was my first time sitting down with a Van Halen album. First time.
Congratulations.
I want to dislike this because the most interesting part of this group is the guitarist's showmanship. It's almost comical how much the guitar is allowed to lead the sound, even to the point that it occasionally overtakes the vocals with dissonant notes, but they get a lot right. And it winds up being much more charming than it initially presents itself as. Hairband roots.
I can't deny that comparison.
Roots, okay? Roots of hairband. I would say this is highly skilled musicianship, somewhere between classic rock, hairband, but you can see here's where it's coming from.
The comparisons that I make towards other artists, there are some hair bands in there. So, like I said, I'm not going to disagree there. Next album that we covered was Fair Warning from 1981. This was my middle album.
Same.
I gave it 2 5s out of 9 tracks.
6.
Wow. My top track was Sinner's Swing.
Mean Street.
And my bottom track was Sunday Afternoon in the Park.
So This Is Love.
That's a mainstream one. Okay.
I don't know those things.
Oh, I know you don't know of your hipster.
I do actually know a lot of Van Halen, just not the albums as they were released. I know, greatest hits sort of things. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of material from an album that we're not covering today, and I knew Ain't Talking About Love.
Yeah, I would have picked these albums very differently, but since Dad was supposed to be here, he got to select them. For me, this album was guitar forward, more sex-driven than the previous album, a bit more experimental with bass lines, more electric-driven, and seemed to be reaching just a little bit.
I thought this is a group that's evolved and is also making unique noise. The guitar's less unwieldy here, the drums are far superior, and the vocal harmonies really land. The bass still does a little more than chase the guitar, but it's really good overall. Vibes all over the map from Queensryche to GNR and The Who. It's weaker toward the end, but I still wish it were a longer spin. Right. I really enjoyed this album.
Next album that we covered was 5150 from 1986. This was my bottom album.
And this was my top album.
Of course. Here we go again. I gave it 2 5s out of 9 tracks.
8.
My top track was Why Can't This Be Love?
Love Walks In.
And my bottom track was 5150.
Get Up.
Sammy Hagar's vocals on this album, not Roth's. I don't want to take anything away from Sammy Hagar, but Van Hagar is not Van Halen for me. Production value increased. Instrumentals take a back seat to Hagar's vocals severely. And I think that they were just doing too much to try to, like, we brought this guy in, we really need to make sure that he's the front man. It felt more of like remember what we said about NSYNC, that celebrity album, Justin featuring NSYNC, or this felt like Sammy Hagar and Van Halen backing Sammy Hagar. Sometimes glam rock and can be a bit cheesy.
Okay. I thought it was above average stadium rock sound that lorded over this album. Much as with the debut, it feels overly predictable in places, almost generic, but the vocals excel here in a big way for me. And the guitar doesn't lead at all times, which I like. Just because you are talented doesn't mean you need to outshine everyone at all times. Keys are sprinkled in and feels reminiscent of Styx. Great hooks, bass game is a step up, and the album art is very memorable. This left me ready to hear more of their material.
I don't think you get very much more after Hagar because they fired him.
I still want to hear it.
That's fine. So they fired Hagar.
I tend to not care, by the way, about who's replacing who.
I know, but listen.
Was the music good? Usually it is.
Gary Sharon of Extreme once subbed as their vocalist after Hagar was fired. But the record company decided that if it's not Roth and it's not Hagar, we don't want to do anybody else. So, but I thought that was really interesting because if you listen to like Get the Funk Out by Extreme, you can kind of hear how it might work. It's more towards Hagar's version of Van Halen, less of Roth's, but it could have worked.
I'm just over here hearing more than words in my head and trying to figure out how that mashes up to Van Halen's sound.
You can't take those vocals in comparison. Also on 5150, this is going to be nerdy of me to say, but Dreams from this album, yeah, it was on the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie that I loved so much growing up. It's the ending song where they're watching all of the fireworks. So
it's really not a bad film.
Thank you. Okay, good. I love that movie. Similar sounding artists.
I love how you're hesitant, and then the moment somebody halfway agrees with you, you are balls to the wall.
Yes.
This is a great movie.
This is a great movie. It holds up still. I will still watch that movie, except for like the intro is a little cheesy when they're like skydiving in. Anyway, similar sounding songs and artists include AC/DC, the guitar. I think there's a lot of similarities there. Whitesnake, Warrant, and Motley Crue. Former names of the band included the Broken Combs, the Space Brothers. You ready for this one? The Trojan Rubber Company, Genesis, but then they found out that Genesis was already taken.
Yeah.
So they went by Mammoth before settling on Van Halen. And it is called Van Halen because there are the Van Halen brothers in it. There's Eddie Van Halen and another Van Halen, so it just kind of made sense. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know for
You are fact girl.
I
You
am.
do the digging. This show is enough homework for me. I listen to the music.
I know.
I show up to talk.
Another thing, Eddie Van Halen, who couldn't read sheet music, actually collaborated with Michael Jackson on Beat It. He did the guitar solo, but he wasn't credited. Roth left the band after the first 2 albums that we covered had David Lee Roth. He left the band to make a movie called Crazy from the Heat. It flopped. Sammy Hagar was originally the vocalist for Montrese, and they sing I Can't Drive 55. So if you know that voice, you know the voice, the vocalist in the last album that we covered. And I gotta take a deep breath. And the last thing that
She's running a speaking marathon over here.
I know. I just want to get them all out. And the last thing that I want to say is it's funny that these 2 artists that we're covering today are matched up with each other because Gene Simmons of Kiss helped produce their demo album to endorse them. And when Ace Frehley left Kiss, Eddie was unhappy with where Van Halen was headed and he was tired of Roth's ego. He asked if he could replace him. It didn't happen.
But he asked. Okay.
So that's enough for me. I'm winded.
If you somehow couldn't tell, or if you know nothing about music, they covered the Kinks' You Really Got Me. As far as greatest hits albums go, I would say that what I've heard of this group so far is better than a greatest hits compilation. So it really does bug me that that's what I knew of them, because they are better than that. So definitely check the music out, check the albums out. The music makes me feel like I'm partying with people who aren't afraid to have a meaningful conversation. That's my kind of party too. So I'm very curious to ask a question, but first we're going to have to get to our break. Shall we go ahead and take a break?
Yeah, I need a break.
You're on camera, so people know you're going nowhere.
I need a break. I'm not going to do it this time because I get shit every time I do it.
You're still alluding to it.
And we're back.
My God. See, I'm not going to do it. And what does she do? She does
did it. I do what I want, Shane. What are you doing?
I'm calling your daddy.
We're calling my father? Okay.
I'm allowed to do that?
I mean, it's our show.
Hopefully the number's right.
Hello?
Good afternoon, Mr. Sprayberry.
I reckon what you doing?
We're talking about music here.
All right, then.
So we're in our break, and we've talked about Van Halen so far. I wanted to ask, out of curiosity, why didn't you pick 1984?
I guess it's a personal preference. I wanted one album with Sammy Hagar in there to show the diversity that Van Halen went through versus just having 3 David Lee Roth albums.
Well, 5150 wound up being my top album, so good call.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah, right.
I got a question. Is it Van Halen or Van Hagar that you prefer?
Van Halen, hands down.
My man.
I assumed I was in the minority here, but...
Well, here's the thing.
You're with Logan.
Sammy Hagar is accomplished. Sammy Hagar did not make Van Halen. As much as Rayburn probably disagrees with me, because Alex and Eddie founded that band. Without their front man sealed that band.
Why?
I mean, when you put an entertainer like that up there, that's all they needed.
And why would I disagree with you?
I don't think you really care for David Lee Roth, honestly. You think he's squeals too much.
I made
shows his ass, pun intended.
I made one comment about him overly. I love his screech, but I think he just does it a little too much. That doesn't mean I don't like him as a vocalist. But
anyone that can do a scissor kick 10 feet in the fucking air with no britches, no back end on his ass, hey, give the man his creds.
What does it's you know what, that screech was it going up into his ass. That's how it got started.
All right, so next question from me here is you couldn't be here today, so I'm curious to know who would have won for you.
It'd be Van Halen,
Was
hands
it
down.
not close at all?
Not really, no, not by what was picked from Kiss. I do like Kiss, I like them a lot, but I don't know, they're just not as epic for me. Probably some of this leans on nostalgia and memories with Van Halen. Van Halen was my very first concert. I got my cherry broke with Van Halen. So, that's your answer right there.
Okay.
Oh.
So we are in the break, and I don't have a song recommendation. I'm sure Rayburn does. Instead, I wanted to ask you, Eric, while we've got you somewhat on here, if you'd ever be interested in doing a Tiny Tim episode and who you think Tiny Tim should go up against. I'm not saying it'll happen. It could be interesting, though.
I can't believe you asked me that.
Well,
I don't have no desire to do no Tiny Tim shit. But if I had to, I would say you put him up against Harry and the Dicks or the Butthole Surfers or somebody and let him get his ass creamed.
Okay.
I don't like the guy. Put him up there. See what your fans say about him. I think
Dad.
they'll agree with me.
Oh,
Might be
God.
fun. Might be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard week for you. And you're just going to put yourself through more torment
Yeah.
listening to Timmy T.
Tiny Tim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I got Timmy T in my head. Timmy T is my Tiny Tim, Dad.
I don't think you can ever change my thesis of that man. Anyway.
I don't really expect to. I think it would be interesting to see just a bad week. What would that be like?
I would have to pick somebody just as shitty as him, and I don't know how that guy even got on there, but anyway, it is what it is.
Dad.
I think it's all the acid they were doing back in that day, you know.
Probably.
They thought that kind of shit was cool.
Hey, Dad.
What?
I was wanting you to stick around for my recommendation. Is that cool?
Okay.
Okay. Shane, you don't have another question for him, do you?
Nope.
Okay, so my recommendation this week is a song called Just Breathe by Willie Nelson featuring Luke Nelson. Dad, can you share some, since you were the one that introduced me to this track.
And me.
And Shane. Can you share a little bit about what you think about this track?
Why do you do this to me?
I'm not the one that called you.
I heard this song for the first time driving home at 5 o'clock in the morning. The first night I got sick, and I was getting pretty sick. And it struck a nerve, you know, just the message from the song. Not this melody, but the message that he's trying to put out there, you know. And if people would live their life the way they need to live it, then it wouldn't be half as shitty as a place as it is to live in right now.
Now this is Willie Nelson and his son Luke Nelson. It talks about a person giving without the want of receiving.
Yes.
And living by that mentality. And what I didn't tell you, Dad, is that when you had me listen to that track, it was actually the last time that I cried to a song.
Yes, I could tell.
So, I wanted to tell you thank you, because it's a good song.
It is a very good song. I've been sharing it with people. I was talking to Codes earlier in the week, and we were talking about how much they sound alike.
Mm-hmm.
And
you know, and I was surprised that his son, I mean, I guess I shouldn't be, but I was surprised that his son was doing a duet with him. And they do sound a lot alike. He's a little higher pitched, but I have a feeling when years catch up to him, that'll change too.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got his daddy's genes in it.
There's a great comment on the YouTube video. I think it's one of the top comments talking about how Willie Nelson's so important to music that God gave us an extra.
An extra Nelson.
Yeah, it's but it's a powerful song, and you know, it just, you know, coming from people who just try to give, you know, and sometimes it gets frustrating when you give and you give and you give, and you know, it's like there's nobody sees it, you know. Sometimes you feel like it goes unnoticed.
Yeah, there'll be a...
I'm not saying rewarded. I'm just saying unnoticed.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, if you're true blue, you just keep doing what you're doing, and you don't let that bother you. Sometimes it does, but you just gotta, you know, brush that off and keep on going, and just breathe.
Just breathe.
You know, that's all you gotta do. Is just breathe. Don't sweat the small shit.
Don't sweat the petty things, sweat the sweaty things.
Well, speaking of breathing, we're going to let you relax your voice for a while and get back to it.
I'm doped up on steroids today, so I was in the nervous hospital till 4 o'clock this morning.
Oh, God. Well, you better get back to it. We'll talk to you later and feel better, all right?
All right, Jen.
All right, we love you.
All right, keep music in your life.
Always refreshing to hear from that man.
You have a plug for us, Raven?
I do. Love Mava. It's an online boutique encouraging those to be proud and comfortable in their own skin while offering cute clothes in a variety of colors. You can find them just on the Google or about anywhere. They got some really cute clothes.
How do you spell that?
Love, and then Mava, M-A-V-A. So check them out. They're really fresh, clean, bright designs. Now I'm ready to talk about Kiss. You wanted the best, you got the best, because we're covering Kiss. First album that we covered was Destroyer from 1976. This was my middle album.
Same.
I gave it 3 5s out of 10 tracks.
I gave it 4.
My top track was Beth.
Shout it out loud.
Good choice. And my bottom track was Rock and Roll Party.
Agreed. Can I talk about your top track for a second?
Yes.
That is one of the ballads
Yes.
from groups like this. And it's not one that I usually know how to feel about. It
Okay.
feels very personal, almost slow, and sometimes I don't know if I like it that much. But when I really sit down and just enjoy it, it's a great song.
Yeah, it's a really good song, and it's sung by, I believe, their bassist. So not one of the... There are 2 main vocalists. A lot of the guys in the band do backup, but there are 2 main vocalists, which is Gene Simmons. No, Gene Simmons sings bass.
Who cares?
Anyway.
Some Kiss fan out there like, it's fucking important, Shane.
I know.
Fuck.
Anyway.
Always ruin this shit. Why do I even listen to this show?
Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons are the... I think it's Paul Stanley. Yeah. Are the main vocalists. God, I'm going to get shit on so hard about this. Anyway.
I am not shitting on you.
It's not sung by...
Not in the literal sense. That will never happen.
One of the typical vocalists of the band.
Unless we're old and it's accidental.
You will not be that close enough to me to shit on me. I'm sorry.
We are in close proximity quite often.
Not that close. Not enough for you to physically shit on me.
Old people shit flies.
Okay. All right. I want to say about bottom tracks, I do have a runner-up, and I wanted to know what you think. Great Expectations.
Yeah, I don't think I like that track so much.
I was not a fan. Mm-mm. All of the band aren't strong vocalists. Good when they stick to the heavy rock sound, but refreshing when they throw in a ballad like Beth. I think that that's something that they do well. Some songs lack direction and flow, and good. Go ahead.
Do you just be starting sentences and then you don't write anything? You're just like,
no,
yeah,
I don't want to say them in order. I want to make them flow a little bit better.
Okay.
So I realized by the end of my list, I'm like, I've said everything I needed to say.
Fun Boys have arrived. I love the melody work, most hooks, the infectiously upbeat drums, and guitar-bass interplay. What I don't love are the vocals in many places, or the fairly vapid lyrics, and almost muddy mixing. It's a lot like a puzzle you can't fit all pieces in. Example, I think God of Thunder has a killer riff, but most of the rest of the song doesn't grab me. Then again, I'm not exactly known for being a fun boy.
You're a sad boy. B-O-I. Sad boy. Next album.
Train just keeps on rolling.
Next album that we covered was Lick It Up from 1983. This was my top album.
Agreed. And can I say, before we move forward, I knew that song, didn't know that I knew the title track. I know I've heard it on the radio lots in my younger days. Always thought it was like Live It Up or Kick It Up, not Lick It Up.
My mom used to watch the music video a lot, so I always knew it was Lick It Up. But I can see how you would think it was like Live It Up, because I think that would probably be really, really close.
Short of it is to say, you may know this song and just not know you know the title track.
No. I gave it 2 5s out of 10 tracks.
6.
My top track was Lick It Up.
All Hell's Breaking Loose.
And my bottom track was On the Eighth Day. I found it corny.
Fits like a glove.
This was a more polished sound. It fits the 80s party sound a lot better. Gene Simmons is not a singer, but holds his own in his own vocal style. They give him more of a chance here to showcase it, but sometimes a little bit too much.
For the most part, all of my complaints about the Destroyer album are lessened here. Drawback is that some melodies and hooks on this outing are more run-of-the-mill. Still, I thoroughly enjoyed over half of this album. It's good time, eccentric rock that doesn't fail keeping both drums and bass powerfully forward in the mix, and I love that.
I'm not going to disagree with you at all. Moving on to our next album, it was Animalize from 1984. This is my bottom album.
Agreed?
I gave it 1 5 out of 9 tracks.
3.
My top track was Heaven's on Fire.
Thrills in the Night.
And my bottom track was Thrills in the Night.
Really?
Yeah.
Under the Gun.
All right. Paul Stanley is the best vocalist in Kiss. Not a strong one, in my opinion, but he is definitely the best one. Using the same basic formula as prior albums, they're utilizing what has been successful for them in the past while taking not a lot of chances.
I can wrap this album sound up by saying it sounds like Def Leppard doing variations of Eye of the Tiger.
Okay.
Now, I love a lot of Def Leppard, but I almost never want to hear Survivor's Eye of the Tiger, and that's why I'd consider this album mediocre. A lot of people would likely disagree, but I'm just bored by most of it. Even the fives here aren't their strongest.
If you love Kiss, I mean, like really love Kiss, there's a movie to hit up. It's a comedy, and it's called Detroit Rock City. It's about 4 guys dying to go to a Kiss concert. It's stupid. It's simple.
It's a good movie.
But if you love Kiss, you'll love this movie. And I rewatched it this week. It was like seriously on par with Stoned Age.
Let's not go overboard.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's no Stoned Age.
Okay.
The Stoned Age.
I know. Hey, I'm not an expert in Stoned Age, but I have been introduced.
I'm just giving you shit, Raven. It's your opinion.
You're right, it is. Speaking of my opinion, I have had the pleasure of seeing both of these artists in concert. I have seen Van Halen with David Lee Roth. Yes, they were older, but I still got to say I have seen Van Halen with David Lee Roth.
And she cried.
Not at Van Halen. I did cry at Kiss. My dad insists on retelling that over and over again. When you wanted the best, you got the best.
You told on yourself on this show. That's why I know it.
Anyway, when the curtain drops, a wave hit me of, holy shit, I'm actually seeing Kiss in my lifetime, which is, it's not necessarily hard.
I'm having deja vu right now.
Shut up.
Are we going somewhere?
Kiss, they are performers. They are great performers. Whatever they do it right when it comes to live shows. They have perfected the joy of a live show. So if you love that classic rock and want a good band to see that you know is going to put on a hell of a show, see Kiss. And you might want to see them soon because apparently this year's the last year that they're touring. I doubt it very seriously, knowing Gene Simmons. But, you know.
Yeah, people could die at any moment.
They were offered the part of the future band in Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie that I always talk about. But they declined.
The Beatles.
Yeah, they declined due to it potentially. I love that. The Beatles.
Just talk.
I love that they declined because it might potentially damage their reputation. And that future band role went to Aerosmith, very young Aerosmith. Originally, they were called Wicked Lester, Albatross, Rainbow, and Crimson Harpoon, but then later settled on Kiss.
Fucking Wicked Lester.
Wicked Lester. And then Twisted Sisters JJ French auditioned for the band, but lost to Ace Frehley. And per Dimebag Darrell's wishes, he is one of an extremely limited number of people, aside from the band, that will ever be buried in an official Kiss casket. He was a very big fan, and per his wishes, Gene Simmons and Kiss sent Dimebag Darrell's family a casket so that he may be laid to rest in it.
Dimebag Darrell being the guitarist for Pantera.
Yes.
Which is a good thing to bring up here because I don't know if we're going to touch on it much, but a lot of the riffing that Kiss does, exquisite.
Mm-hmm.
They write some really great riffs. Drummer is phenomenal in a lot of what he does. The band is great. So not to be understating or sound like we're hating too much on this group. That's not the intention. Personally, I appreciated how they played into the whole Knights in Satan's Service thing.
Yeah.
On the Destroyer album. They really went for it in places. And I just thought that was fun and funny. So just the notion that I could play something for my parents and
Nice.
Not really my parents, but some people's
I don't think
parents.
Any of our parents. Yeah, some people's.
The music makes me feel like I'm at a biker bar on karaoke night. Yes, that was a big swing at the vocals for Kiss because it was one of the primary drawbacks for me.
Yeah.
They do get it right in some places, and again, I appreciate what they bring to the table. It's just, if there was a big negative on most tracks, it's usually vocals.
Yeah.
Not in a big noticeable way. I think most people wouldn't mind, but I'm not most people. So I didn't know much non-radio Kiss going in here, and am a little sad to say it's a group I'll probably listen to for a few fives and rarely go back to. This is mood music for a mood that I'm rarely in. Still, I gave a lot of fours outside of my fives, so I get that much of this will win big with fans of a certain sound, like Dimebag Darrell.
Yep.
And being one of the greatest guitarists who ever lived.
Yeah.
It says something about this group. So maybe don't take my opinion, but for what it's worth, there it was.
So do I even need to ask who won this week for you?
It was Van Halen.
It was Van Halen for me as well. Was it close for you?
Not really.
Me
To
neither.
Parrot your dad.
Yeah, not at all. That's not taking anything away from Kiss.
No, they did pretty well.
Yeah, when they do things right, they do it good. It just wasn't up to par with Van Halen for me.
About half of this was 5s for Kiss from me. And I think it's about 2/3 of Van Halen was 5s.
All right, well, there's Kiss and Van Halen. You ready to move on to the next half of our list?
Surely.
Next for me is Headstrong by Trapped. A lot like System of a Down, this one makes you want to get physical and touch someone, and not in the sensual way.
One time in your life, you're going to say not touching someone in the sensual way.
Oh, that's the only time I'm going to say it?
Probably.
Okay.
I'm just trying to enjoy the moment. You know, you still had to take it there.
Enjoy it while it lasts, Shane.
Suck by Kitty.
Okay.
Words often make for the best weapons, and at least for now, their usage isn't illegal, so be careful who you cross.
I love the be careful who you cross with eyes.
Mm.
Next on my list is Remember the Name by Fort Minor, featuring Styles of Beyond. Another sporting event contribution. This one gets you calm and collected before unleashing hell.
10% luck, 20% skill. Hey, I know it.
Good job, Shane.
Yay. 5 Minutes Alone by Pantera. There are a lot of folks out there who bottle things up for ages before some small thing ends up setting them off. Do what you can to make sure you're not that someone they dream of having 5 minutes alone with.
Okay. Next on my list is Bodies by Drowning Pool. This song invokes the hunt of finding the one you'll ultimately want to get some hands on, and once you find them, may God have mercy on their soul.
Every time I think about that song now, I just hear Psycho Stick. I can only count to 4. I can only count to 4. Get Ready by Twisted. I'm guilty of having listened to this one a bunch, once having hit my limit with a certain someone. Used to do so while jogging in the summer heat for maximal effect. This kept me from doing anything stupid because I wasn't sure I'd be able to stop hitting that idiot once I started.
Next on my list is Power by Kanye West. Power. It's a strong word and an even stronger action. Kanye sets the tone right before the tumble you take the chance of losing.
I think that's the song that plays in...
The new Power Rangers movie?
No, I'm thinking of a video game. Blue would know. Shit. Not Grand Theft Auto. What's the other one? The one that kind of spoofs Grand Theft Auto?
Gran Turismo? Need for Speed?
Nope, it's not a racing game.
Oh, Saints Row?
Saints Row the Third. Yeah, where you're parachuting in to the building to just murder everyone with guns.
No one man should have all that power, Shane.
Yeah, good song. Next for me is Wipe That Smile Off Your Face by Our Lady Peace. The few grudges I do hold are the life-ruining kind. Sleeping dogs that I'm happy enough to let lie so long as the madness which drove them remain in the past. But if not, you'd best believe that this is war, and I'm gonna wipe that smile off your face.
Ooh.
Spooky. Just for Rayburn.
Just for me. Literally, stay spooky, Shane.
What the fuck?
My cup says stay spooky. Anyway, next on my list is Victorious by Panic at the Disco. You won! Congratulations! Now crack a beer and prepare for the next one in line.
Oh, you want to fight? I get it.
Yeah.
I was
want
like,
to fucking fight.
That's a happy thing, right? Okay. 512 or 512 by Lamb of God. Not sure why we keep landing on these violent list topics, but I'll end this one with something I listened to as a reminder of what life becomes for anyone who loses control and ends up taking a life. Hearing this reminds me that a life defined by that sort of mistake is not a desirable one.
Okay. Are you ready to draw for next week?
We're not drawing next week because your backup man is coming on.
My backup man? My reliable backup man.
Yeah. I bet if anything ever happened to Blue, you just move out there with them and be their third.
Oh, dude, I need you to not encourage this because I'm pretty sure Samantha wants this to happen.
Big, tall, sexy Toby.
Yeah, he'd get me and Samantha, although I'm not sure that he wants that because we like to gang up on him a lot. I don't think he wants that scenario. So I will just settle for him being my backup man and my brother from another mother. So Toby, I cannot wait for you to be on.
Really looking forward to it. Longtime listener. Toby's been pretty supportive of the podcast from the day that we started. I'm excited to have someone like that on the show. He has picked someone I've never heard of, Guy Clark, and I've got that artist paired up against Blues Traveler.
I've heard of Guy Clark. I don't know a lot from him because he has not been on my radar for very long.
But
so
Toby plays it for you, I'm guessing.
It's mainly blues
As he tries
parents.
to get you to just sneak on out to the country with
Quit
him.
being creepy.
Hey, you're the one that made it sound like it was a real thing.
No, he's my backup man, but not in a sexual way. Although him and I have gone grocery shopping, like, or gone to the liquor store or something. They thought we were like husband and wife. First of all, if you've seen this man, how is that physically possible?
Hey, Toby, if you're listening right now, go where you can to hear a song called Up on the Mountain by Dr. Hook. And just imagine that's your life. That's your future.
God. All right. Well, Toby, can't wait for you to be on. It's going to be fun.
Yep. And that's going to do it for this week. Hit up our playlist to hear all the songs we talk about. Get our full ratings, t-shirts, and bonus episodes at teespring.com/ratedradio. Guide what we listen to by letting us know your top 10 artists so we can put that in our jam jar. You can even send us voice messages on Facebook for a shot at being on the show. Your support really is what makes or breaks us, so thank you for listening and sharing. And until next time, fill your world with music.
Life gets hard, everyone struggles, but you got to remember to just breathe.